Hello, my name is John DeLira, and along with George Otero and Keisha Moore, we've worked on the development of this SharePoint-based application called AngelNet. And basically, what AngelNet is it's an application for managing the operations of Pals for Pauls, which is a Barry University student-based organization that helps to care for and find permanent homes for the many strays that live on the Barry campus in Miami Shores or in the surrounding neighborhood. That whole area there, suffering from very inadequate animal control services. Basically, this web application that we created, AngelNet, helps the student volunteers for Pals for Pauls to apply to become foster volunteers to take in animals temporarily, and then once those animals are accepted into the homes for foster care, they are then displayed on the website where other Barry students can log on, look at pictures of the animals, and apply to adopt them to become the permanent parents of those animals, or the permanent owners of those animals, however you want to say it. Well, basically, here's how it works. We're going to go ahead and start at the very beginning. We're going to start with an application to become a foster parent. So it starts here with the foster application. We're going to go ahead and fill out this application. Now here's the deal. It's a small student organization, and we're on a very tight budget, basically. And so we're using Barry University's free SharePoint server, which is offered as a free service to Barry University students and employees. The problem is that we're limited to 15 gigabytes of space, and we can't host our own images. So images that are used on any of the applications or on any parts of our system have to be hosted somewhere else. I'm going to post a picture here of my own home, because in the application to become a foster parent, you have to post at least one picture of your home, so that the administrator who accepts or declines your application knows that you're not going to be housing the animals in a space that's inadequate, or that you're a Barry student that lives in the dorms and you're going to be housing the animals in the dorms, which is not allowed. To avoid situations like that, it is required that you submit at least one picture. That picture has to be hosted elsewhere. Alright, so what's happening here is that I am about to submit the application here on the form foster application. That data is then going to be used to create an item in the SharePoint list foster application, and that's going to trigger the workflow copied to unprocessed. And what's going to happen with that in that workflow is that it's going to send an email to me. It's also going to send an email to the admin group, letting them know that a new application has been received so that they can log on and process it. And then that item is going to be moved or copied and deleted into another SharePoint list. And that SharePoint list is unprocessed foster applications. But we haven't gotten to that point yet. let's see what happens as soon as I hit the submit button. Alright, my application has been submitted. As you heard, the little chiming, the email has been received. Basically, two emails have been are generated from this. One is saying that an application has been received, and another one, because I'm an administrator, the other email is telling me, as a member of the administrators group, to log on to process that application. So I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So my application was sent, and the emails were generated. See, it says sends an email to the foster parent, to the foster applicant. It also sends another email to members of the admins group, and then the application is moved into the unprocessed foster application list. And what happens to it here is that there are two fields added to it: the accepted field and the decline reason field is added to the data, and the application is now ready to be processed. The application is processed when an administrator logs in and accesses the form process foster parent application. So let's log on as an administrator. This section of the website is not going to be available to Berry students in general. It's only available, and this link here will only be visible to Berry students who are members of the admin group for this website. Having logged in as an admin, I can see in the unprocessed foster applications that there is one unprocessed foster application submitted by John DeLira for a foster home with a capacity of 1. I can now click to go ahead and process this application. It says here to approve an applicant, change the accepted field to yes, and add the user to the counselor's SharePoint group. If the applicant is accepted, leave the decline field blank. Alright, so has the applicant been accepted? Let's select yes and submit. Let me hit refresh here, because what should be happening is that that application should there we go, that worked. Now the application is now no longer appearing under the unprocessed foster application list, and if I check my email, I should have received another email saying that I've been accepted. Congratulations, John, you've been accepted to be a foster parent with AngelNet. You can now log on to the AngelNet homepage, and you'll see the foster parent section in the menu. So now I've been accepted as a foster parent, or I've received the email that I've been accepted as a foster parent. The administrator accepting my my application has to add me to the administrator group here in this form and hit OK, and that now I then receive another email saying that I've been accepted into the administrators group. Welcome to the council. I'm sorry, not the administrators group, the counselors group. Sorry. So I've now been accepted into the counselors group. I have now been completely accepted as a foster parent. Now let's take a look at what happened in the process. Like I said, the two fields, accepted and declined reason, were added to the data that came in from my application. These are the two fields here. And then the administrator, which is also me, logged in to the form process foster parent application. If the and here there's a condition: if the administrator declines the application, an email is sent to the foster applicant, and the application is deleted and the life cycle ends. That's not what happens. We were accepted. Let me make note of that. Our application was accepted. So then the counselor went to the form, add to counselors, added the admin added me to the counselors group. An email was sent to me, and then the list item that was created, was moved out of the unprocessed foster apps list. You see it's no longer there, and moved into the list foster home. Okay, and what happens here is that the item is stored, the list item is stored as a foster home until I resign as a foster parent, at which point the administrator logs in and deletes me from the counselors group, and deletes my foster home record, and the life cycle for that particular piece of data is over. But because we were accepted, and because I was accepted and I am currently a foster parent, the life cycle is not for the data is not over yet. This data then becomes an input to various other parts of the program, as you can see here, and we're going to go to one of those parts of the program. I am now going to accept an animal into my foster home. So I'm going to go to the beginning here of another form. Now, pretend for a second that I am no longer me. Okay, I'm no longer John DeLira. I am no longer an administrator on the website, and I am no longer a foster parent on the website. I am just any old Barry student. I have an animal that I found, and I would like to submit that animal into foster care. Okay, that's not the animal, by the way. I would like to submit that animal into foster care. Alright, so let's say, for example, that I have a dog named Wally, and I'm a Barry student, and I can no longer care for Wally. I want to submit Wally into foster care. So I'm going to fill out my application form. Put in my picture, which again has to be hosted elsewhere. Wally is a male. He's small. He's brown. Tan. White. He has short hair. Wally is ugly but healthy. He has no special needs. Got my contract. I do agree to my contract. I'm going to put in the fake first name and last name for the sake of this example. I gotta use my real Barry email though, because it has to be a valid Barry email. I'm going to go ahead and submit my application. There's Wally. He's been submitted. Application submitted. As you can see, I now got an email saying that my application was submitted. This is the email saying hello William, because I had filled out that fake name. It also shows the contract that I agreed to, and another email is also sent because I am an administrator, saying that a new application has been that I am a counselor rather, that a new application has been received, and to log on as soon as possible to process the application. Let's take a look at the data flow and see what happened here. So the user, in this case the role is surrenderer, submitted the application from the surrender application form. That data then went to the creation of the item surrender application in the surrender application list. That triggered the beginning of the workflow: send email, move to move to unprocessed. And in the workflow send the email to the surrenderer and also to members of the counselors group, which is why I received those 2 emails. And then the item was moved out of that list and into the list unprocessed surrender applications. And now, like you saw, the email to the counselors group saying that a new application has been submitted and to log in as soon as possible to process the application. We are now going to play the role of counselor. We're going to log into the system and process the application. Oops, wrong button there. The button I meant to press was foster parent portal. And now in the foster parent portal, we're going to process the application. Alright, so when it's copied over to the unprocessed applications list, 2 fields are added to the data: foster parent and foster home. We are now logged in as a counselor or foster parent into the foster parent portal, and we see that there is a new application in unprocessed for Willie that was submitted by me. Okay, we're going to go ahead and process that application, and that application is processed on this screen, on this form. The form is called Process Surrender Application, and this form is for members of the counselors group only. To accept an animal into your foster home, select your foster home from the drop-down list and enter your Barry email at the bottom as your signature to accept. To decline an animal, select the reason for declining. Applications not processed in 15 days will be declined automatically. Alright, so on this form there's also a report. Alright, this report shows the foster homes that are available in the system. Now remember that I created a foster home for myself, or that a foster home was created for me, a foster home record was created for me when my foster application was previously accepted. Alright, so I created a foster home with I created a foster home with a capacity of 3, and I currently have 1 foster pet. You didn't see me submit that pet because that was a test. So, and Keisha, one of my team members, also created a foster home, and she has 1 foster pet in that home. But basically, this report is so that a a counselor submitting an animal into foster care will know not to overload a foster home that is over capacity. There's the original application as we submitted it. We are not going to decline this animal. We are going to accept it. Refresh the screen. The animal has been accepted into foster care. You see that now the application for that animal is no longer showing as unprocessed. The application has been processed. I have received an email as William, the pseudonym that I used. William, your dog Wally has been accepted into foster care with AngelNet. Please contact or arrange to have Willie transferred into our care. Alright, so the email has been received. Let's take a look at the data flow of how this happened. Like I said, those 2 fields, the fields required for processing the application were added when the application was copied over to the unprocessed applications list. And then once that happened, the workflow delete within 15 days was triggered. And what that workflow does is it deletes an application that is, or automatically declines and deletes an application that goes unprocessed by a member of the counselor's group for 15 days. So that this is the condition. Was the application processed within 15 days? Yes, ours was. So we're going to go this way. But what would happen if it wasn't? If it wasn't processed within 15 days, the system would automatically decline an email, decline the application. An email would be sent to the user saying that the application has been declined, and then the application would be deleted, and that would be the end of the life cycle under that condition. In our case, the application was accepted. The counselor approves, right, using the process surrender application form. We approved the application. Okay. Had we declined the application, we would go back. The data would flow back this way. The application would be denied. The email that the application was denied would be sent, and the application would be deleted, ending the life cycle again. Okay, but we didn't go that way either. We were approved. Okay, now what happens when you're approved? When you're approved, the counselor selects their foster home from the foster home list. Now, where did that information come from? The foster home list was the data in the foster home list. Well, those are the foster home records, and that came from, if you follow this green arrow, from the items that are stored in the foster home list, the item that was created when we were accepted to become a foster parent. Okay, so that's where that information comes from. From there, an email is sent to the surrenderer, the applicant who is applying to surrender the animal. The item is then moved into the list animals in foster care, and that begins phase 2 of the life cycle of this particular set of data. The animal is now in foster care. So if we go to the home page, if we navigate to the home page, well, actually, I'm realizing now that I spoke too soon. Let's not go to the home page yet. If I actually just scroll down and go to animals in my foster home, I'll see that Wally is now in my foster home, but his status is set to not received yet. Let's take a look at the workflow. Alright, so this list will show animals that are specifically only in my foster home as a counselor. So we've been accepted, the animal's been accepted into my foster home. Phase 2 has begun. The field's status and approved adopter were added. Let's take a look at that. The two fields that have now been added to the data are status and approved adopter. The status being not yet received, and that we have not yet received the animal, right? Counselor set status to not yet received. And then the workflow move back to unprocessed begins. And basically what happens is if this status stays as not yet received, as in the animal has been accepted but has not yet been received from the previous owner into foster care, if that doesn't happen within 5 days, then the data goes back up to the unprocessed surrender applications list, where if it's not processed within 15 days, it is deleted, or if it's accepted, we get back to where we are right now. In our case, the animal is going to be received. So what happens if the animal is received is the counselor sets the status to adoptable. So we are going to set the status of this adorable animal to adoptable. We're going to hit submit. We've received Wally. He now is under our care in our foster home. You can see that he is here in our foster home. He's listed as one of the animals in our foster home. And now if we go to the home page, we will see that Wally is one of the animals available for adoption. This should be collapsed, and by default it is. And we'll see that there is Goldie is one of the animals for adoption, and we now see that Wally is one of the animals available for adoption. So this animal, Wally, has now been accepted into foster care. Let's take a look one more time at that workflow and at what happens next. The animal was accepted for adoption. The animal is now adoptable, and now the list item representing the entity of the animal remains in the animals in foster care list until adoption application is received or the animal dies. I should specify here. Or the animal dies. So basically, as long as the animal is in foster care, it's going to continue being a list item on this list. So has the animal died? No. If the animal does die while in foster care, then the counselor updates the status to deceased, and the animal is moved to the deceased animals list, and the record of the animal is archived. All right. our animal is not going to die, so the answer here is no. If the animal is not dead, then it either has a pending adoption or it doesn't. In our case, it does not. Okay, so it stays in this cycle until it either dies or there is a pending adoption. All right, so this particular animal, Wally, is now in this loop until he dies or gets adopted. Now we see that there's a dotted line here. Let's follow that dotted line down and see where it goes. This is what's going to break the loop. What breaks the loop is when a user submits an adoption application. All right? And that's going to take us to the third function of this program, and that is adoptions. So let's go to the form for adoptions, that form being the adoption application form, which is available on the home page. So we see that we have 2 animals in foster care. If there were more animals, we could search through them, but there's only 2. So let me show you an example of how things are searched. Let's say that I want a dog, and let's say I want a dog that is small. Both of these dogs are small, so that doesn't clear it out yet. Let's say I want a dog that is small and is short hair. The option is Wally, clearly. He's a small, short-haired dog. I like Wally. Let's adopt Wally by filling out an adoption application. Alright, so I was William when I surrendered Wally. Let's be Peter. I've got to use my RealBear email. What animal am I interested in? Well, let's see. I'm interested in Wally, so I'm going to adopt Wally. I'm going to apply to adopt Wally. Got to enter my phone number. See that my application is in process. I have received my email. Hello, a new adoption application has been received. Oh, sorry, that's the email that's sent to counselors. Remember, I'm a member of the counselor group as well. Hello, your application to adopt the following animals has been received. Wally, dog, that's the record ID. We thank you for your interest in providing a home for these wonderful creatures, etc., etc. All right, so the email has been received. Let's take a look at that workflow, shall we? The animals in foster care provide an input to it provides an input to the application that the user submits in the adoption application form, which then creates an item in the adoption applicants list, which we saw happen, which then triggers the workflow copied to unprocessed adoption applications. The workflow starts. The email is sent to the adoption applicant and to the counselors. And then the item is moved. The item is moved to unprocessed adoption applications. The field status, the field that's required to process this application, the status field is added. And then a counselor, which has received the email saying the new application is in, logs into the system and opens the form process adoption application and processes that application. So let's do that, right? If the counselor accepts, he updates the status to in progress, the adoption status to in progress. If he declines the application, an email is sent to the application to the applicant, and the application is deleted and the life cycle ends. In our case, we are going to accept the application. So let's get out of the workflow, get back into our program. We are now going to log into the foster parent portal as a counselor. We see that there is a new unprocessed adoption application as indicated by our email submitted by a Mr. Peter Green that he's interested in Wally. So let's go ahead and process this application. It says this form is for foster counselors only. Below is the information received from an adoption applicant. The first field is the status field, blah 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 blah. So anyways, we can accept this application by changing the application to in progress as indicated in our workflow. Where is our workflow? As indicated in our workflow, counselor updates item to item adoption status to in progress. So this is how it's accepted. We're going to go ahead and accept this application. We see that there is no longer any unprocessed adoption applications. We now have an adoption application in progress. Another email has been received. Hello, your adoption application has been accepted. An AngelNet counselor will be in touch with you to arrange the rest of the adoption. Alright, so my application has been accepted. The AngelNet counselor now has to go here to the animal, to the record of the animal, and change the status, the adoption status on the animal from adoptable to in progress, or to adoption pending. And now what we didn't see before was that there was nothing in this field. There was nothing in the adopter field, but now there is an approved. There is Mr. Peter Green is now listed as an approved adopter. We're gonna submit that there is now an adoption pending for Mr. Peter Green for the dog Wally. All right. Now, if we go back to the home page, once everything saves and goes through, if we go back to the home page, we'll see that Wally is no longer available for adoption. He's got an adoption pending, so only Goldie now is available for adoption. Let's go back to our foster parent portal. And let's take a look at our workflow once again. So this is the step that we're on. Let's follow the arrow. What happens now? The counselor has accepted the adoption application. We follow this purple arrow. It meets up with this blue arrow, which now breaks the cycle. Remember, Wally was in this loop here, where he hasn't died, and there was not an adoption pending. So he was in this loop, and now there is an adoption pending. The answer is yes. So this provides an input to here, and now we go this way. The counselor sets status to adoption pending, which we did. And then once the adoption is completed, the animal's been transferred to the new owner. The counselor sets the status to adoption completed, and the item is moved to the adopted animals list, where it is archived, and the life cycle for this particular set of data ends, and the animal is adopted. Let's see this happen in action. We see that there's an adoption pending for Wally. We'll open up Wally's record. We're going to set it to adoption completed and submit. We see now that there's only one animal in our foster home, and that is Goldie. Congratulations to Wally. He's now been adopted. He now has a new forever home. That completes that entire set of functions for that part of the program. To recap, this is what happened. We created a foster home. The data that was entered into that form was used to create a foster home record, which then provided an input for the foster home list, or the created relationship, an entity relationship for the unprocessed surrendered animals list. Once that application was processed and it was assigned to the animal was assigned to the foster home that we created. Well, I skipped a step. We also created an animal record, which we added to the foster home that we created, and we then entered a adoption application, which was used as an input to be able to adopt the animal. And we went all the way through the life cycle of the animal data, all the way to the point where it got archived. That's only one of the functions of this program. The other function of this program is the inventory management. I'm going to cover that in another video. As you can see, there's relationships to other parts of the data flow here, and that can also be quite complicated. Hopefully you'll hang in with me and you'll watch the other video, and you'll get a full working knowledge of every aspect of this program that we worked so hard on. Thank you very much for your time.